In this year of faith, we as teachers, we work with our students to try and raise awareness of what the year of faith is really all about. We ask our students what they would like to do. So we listen to them and we take on board the things that they would like to do to enable their faith to be, in a sense, owned by them, to make it exciting for them, and to let them see that faith is about actions as well as about words, especially in their daily lives. For example, we'll say one thing that we've done this year in our schools is we have taken something traditional like rosary beads. And we know we have beads, prayer beads from every faith. So in our faith, Christian faith, we have our rosary beads. So what we do is we have asked some of our students to get together and make a set of their own rosary beads. And they've really enjoyed it, and they have made very funky rosary beads. Even though they're very traditional method of praying, the boys and girls have enjoyed making them to music, and actually by making them they've learned about the Our Father and the 10 Hail Marys, and the questions have been great around the table as to how many do I put here and where do I put this. And they've ended up then with their own rosary beads, and we've invited in some of our community members, our priests, to bless the rosary beads. So they go home with something that they very much cherish and this very much hold on to. And I have a little example here of one pair of rosary beads, and they're not a typical pair of rosary beads, but for the boys and the girls, they find them very exciting and something that they do tend to use.
As part of the Year of Faith, Form 3 have decided to take on the Angelus. At noon each day, Form 3 have a silent moment. We say the Hail Mary, and this is to recognise the importance of Mary. Obviously, Mary is very important, and St. Mary, she's the patroness of our school, and she holds a very special place in the heart of the Spiritans. We've also decided to take on Christian meditation lessons. It gives the children a chance to be still with God. They have the chance to relax, and I think it helps them develop a deeper relationship with God. As part of the Year of Faith, in November we remember. Myself and Ronan, our chaplain, designed a sacred space with the children. This is an example of the liturgical year, and it reminded the children of people that had passed on, and we helped remember them and pray for them each day. This year we have collected stories of the New Testament and recorded them in our books. The children have a greater knowledge of the stories and a greater and deeper understanding of Jesus' work from the New Testament. We've also used drama as a means of stepping back in time, hot seating, get the children to step into the shoes of the characters from the New Testament, and this gives them a greater understanding of what life was like back in the New Testament, and a greater understanding of Jesus' work and the people of that time.
So as a whole school, we've been looking at faith as action. We've been looking at the element of serve for the Year of Faith. And we've integrated that with our trustees, the Spiritan order, who are a missionary order. So we've created a map in the main corridor in the school, charting where the Spiritans are operating in the world. And we use that for geography lessons, religion lessons, to try and, in a cross-curricular way, engage the children with the tradition that they're part of. We've also done a life of our founder, Father Lieberman, and we've created a whole corridor long, charting his life basically, so the children can engage with that as part of a religion lesson, for example, where they have to go and find answers to questions about Father Lieberman's life. What we found with that is that the children have a greater appreciation of the tradition that they're part of. So we're trying to get the children to buy into and understand the missionary tradition of the Spiritan order in this case, but just the Christian missionary tradition. So we've done a lot of work on raising awareness for the less fortunate in society. So we've done work for the St. Vincent de Paul this year. We've done work for a local women's shelter in Rathmines. But at the same time, hand in hand with that, we're trying to unpack the stereotypes of charity. We're trying to make the children understand a kind of a solidarity of spirit with people, as opposed to the haves and the have-nots. And it's the Year of Faith has been very good for that, because we've been able to link our liturgical events with our own tradition, with actual faith in action with the St. Vincent de Paul and people like that. So that's been a very successful part of the Year of Faith for our school. The other thing we're doing is we're really focusing on our sacred spaces in each classroom, linking them to the liturgical calendar and celebrating, for example, Advent or Lent or Easter or Christmas, and giving the children a deeper understanding of the Christian message, not just at that time of the year, but how they can live that in their whole lives as Christians, as Spiritans, as good citizens, I suppose, in society.
As the First Communion teacher in St. Mary's, we are concentrating this year on praying. Praying at home, praying with the parents, praying with school, and praying with their peers, their friends. Praying at home is important because that's where the faith begins. The boys come into school knowing some prayers, and while they're in school, we prepare them for learning the prayers for the First Confession and the First Communion. We also develop our own prayers. The boys write them, read them, and understand them. While we're in school, we use the church. We use it to have a look at the different items in the church that make the boys understand what the Mass is all about. We look at the tabernacle, we look at the sanctuary lamp, we look at the statue of Mary, and we sit down and we make drawings of these and let the boys become familiar with what is going on during the Mass. At Mass, we use these little booklets. It helps the boys follow the Mass and help them to understand that these are the words of Jesus during the Mass.
As school chaplain, the Year of Faith is a real opportunity to work with teachers, parents and pupils in exploring what God and faith can mean for them in today's world. During the school year, there's many opportunities. In our own school here, we have celebrated St. Francis and the blessing of the animals. We celebrated people's lives through our In November We Remember services. In our Advent prayer services, we had the Peace Light, which was brought from Bethlehem. And then in the new year, we have really focused in on New Year promises and looking at the Year of Faith in a more detailed way. These opportunities give people like me in chaplaincy and teachers in schools opportunities to explore from religion being on the outside to religion being faith on the inside, developing that personal understanding of God within people's lives. At the confirmation retreat, the children brought their precious gifts in, which also expressed their preciousness in the eyes of the Lord. They brought gifts that were given to them by their grandparents before they died. They brought their dreams. Some of them even brought their baby blankets, the first present they got when they were born. This allowed them to explore a real understanding of what it means to be precious in God's eyes. But then we moved on to what is it like to express that, and how can that be expressed through the body of Christ? Through prayer, through service, through an understanding community. And that has all come about because the Year of Faith has given us a context to talk and develop that concepts within kids, within the staff room, and within the wider community of parents and families.